They say the best way to predict the future is to create it. This is what brings us all here today, an endeavor to create a sustainable future together. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anuj Gurwara, and welcome to the digital launch of Welspun Group's first ever celebration of the spirit of entrepreneurship, Disruptor Season 1. We have with us today some of the sharpest young minds on campus and the Welspun Group's leadership team, Ms. Dipali Goenka, Joint Managing Director and CEO, Welspun India, Ms. Vidisha Banerjee, Group Senior Vice President, Talent, Culture and Employer Branding, Welspun Group, Mr. Kaustubh Sonalkar, Group Director, HCM, Communication, CSR and General Affairs, Welspun Group, Mr. Cherian Thomas, President and CEO, Advanced Textiles, and Mr. Altaf Jivani, Global CFO, Welspun Group. Future disruptors, thank you so much for joining us. We're glad you could make it here today. And we are here today in all our strengths to meet you and answer all your questions on this game-changing opportunity. But first, let me start with what brings us here. Now, what is entrepreneurship? It is the spirit of long-term thinking, a behavior that pushes the mind to get out of the box and make a difference. It's the knowledge of risk, but without the fear of failure. It is the future-forward mindset that the young Balkrishna Goenka had when he started his own entrepreneurial journey at the tender age of 17. With a sheer passion and dedication to take India to a global stage, BK Goenka, who is also fondly called as BKG, started Welspun Vinylin Mills in 1985 in a small texturizing unit in a small sleepy town of Palghar near Bombay. The idea was to interrupt the stereotypical business flow, make a shift slowly but consistently. The humble beginning was soon about to turn into a global textile export powerhouse. In 1991, BKG led Welspun's first ever IPO to foray into the manufacturing of world-class towels. Legend has it that no one could believe such high-end towels could be made in India. And it all started small, but grew at an extraordinary pace, with quality and commitment becoming an intrinsic business value. Dare to commit became more than just a slogan for Welspun. It became a way of life. And as they say, the rest is history. Today, Welspun Group is one of India's fastest growing conglomerates with global leadership position in the line pipes and home textile categories, while its infrastructure business has also emerged as one of India's fastest growing infra companies. Under Mr. Goenka's visionary leadership, other businesses like retail, advanced textiles, flooring solutions, and warehousing are establishing a strong foothold in the domestic as well as global markets. As globally recognized leaders in home textiles and line pipes, Welspun today has a presence in over 50 countries with a strong team of over 26,000 employees. So let's take a look at this corporate video to get a better understanding of what the Welspun Group stands for. An idea can come from anywhere, but it stands out as an innovation only when it meets a highly motivated mindset willing to succeed. And who could tell us better about this than the leader who steered Welspun's growth across 50 countries around the world? To give us a closer look at the life of an entrepreneur, their pitfalls and learnings, we have the creator here herself, Ms. Dipali Goenka, CEO and Joint Managing Director, Welspun India. Welcome, Ms. Dipali.
Thank you. So, I'm so glad to be here. So, in this world, ever-changing and complete business landscape, thinking and acting on ESG in a proactive way requires an immediate action. While the coronavirus pandemic has reshuffled priorities globally, we cannot put off our efforts to fight the climate and social crisis any longer. We have all been presented with an opportunity to collectively hit the reset button and make changes to build back a more resilient, future-proof, and sustainable tomorrow. I believe that strong ESG goals motivate businesses and communities to step up and create change for posterity. Leveraging the power of social media, many young people like Greta Thunberg are raising their collective voices for a better tomorrow across the globe. At Welspun, we strongly believe in our purpose to delight customers through innovation and technology and achieve inclusive and sustainable growth. From homes to highways, high tech to heavy metals, we believe in leading tomorrow together. With the Disruptor platform, Welspun is here to support people whose mission is to build a future-proof world through collaboration and with innovative ideas. The Welspun Group is committed to conducting business in a sustainable way by not just investing in sustainable operations and meeting ESG goals, but also supporting socially responsible innovations and startups. We are seeking disruptors that are determined to drive results for the greater good. In my view, disruptors will be those teams that are committed to something bigger than themselves and believe that the progress is always possible through perseverance. The startup culture has increasingly thrown light on the potential of the younger workforce. One example is Nykaa, which is likely to become India's first woman-led unicorn to go public. With the Disruptor program under our Velocity initiative, I want to see the present of the future. As a country with the highest population of brilliant young minds among us, I want a youth, you, to come forward with your ideas and challenge the order. I am here to support the disruptors, the people and companies that ignite, lead, and advocate for sustainable change in the world. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Mr. Dipali Goenka, for that insightful opening. And I hope the students present here will identify the pitfalls and extract learnings from your experience. I request you to please remain with us for the next segment. And to everyone present here, there is one thing we are certain about. It is you, the young, innovative, always looking for answers, boldly skeptical minds of the country who are really the architects of tomorrow. It is inspiring to see that in the unpredictable times that we are in today, young minds like you are calling attention towards the new facet of entrepreneurship. There is a growing awareness amongst the youth to choose products and services that are good for the society and environment in the long run. You've, of course, realized the urgency to create a sustainable future today. And this is why each entrepreneur now is incorporating these aspects right in the planning stage to look after the communities they serve, nurture the environment they grow in, and practice ethical business operations. The Welspun Group is also working towards the same vision using innovation and technology to achieve inclusive and sustainable growth. We want to lead tomorrow together to create a smarter, a more sustainable world. And we're looking for the next generation of responsible business minds who share this vision with us. To throw some light on this, we have joining us today, joining virtually, of course, Ms. Bidisha Banerjee, Group Senior Vice President, Talent, Culture, and Employer Branding, Welspun Group. Welcome, Ms. Bidisha.
Thank you. Thank you, Anuj. Dipali, I think, what you spoke, and I just made a note of it. And you said, I want to see the present of the future. And I think that is such a wonderful and powerful statement. So I know some of the students have a lot of questions for you. So on their behalf, I'm going to ask you a few, and, which will throw some more light on, on your journey as an entrepreneur and also why we are doing Disruptor. The first question that I have for you, Dipali, is what are some of the lessons that you've learned that has made you successful, that has got you where you are today?
For me, importantly, I'll just say, first of all, I got into this because, I come in from a conservative community, Marwaris, and I had two daughters. To set an example for them, I got into home textiles. One thing that I must tell you for everybody, and the lessons that I have learned, is that there's never a shortcut to hard work. And you have to be passionate about what you want to do. You have to really love what you want to do. And the attitude of never give up is something that I always believe in. And also to all of you here, there's something special that each one of you has today that can really make a difference. And that's what I did when I started, took on the reins of home textiles, because I didn't know anything about home textiles when I got on board. But I knew that the consumer on the other side was a woman. And I knew what I could relate to her. So hence, I would just say that just believe in yourself and never give up and be passionate about what you do.
Wonderful. And we've seen you do that every day, all day, consistently, over and over again, Dipali. Every day at work, you bring your best to work, and we see that and we feel that, and that's reflected by our business of Welspun India. The next question that I have for you is, what is the message today? We have more than 10,000 students listening into us. What is the message that you have for this next generation? And, on ESG, about ESG, how are they linked? What do you have to say to them?
So at Welspun, every decision is made with sustainability in mind. We continuously analyze the prospects and find solutions with our ESG conscience. So with the Disruptor program under our Velocity initiative, we're looking at mobilizing the youth to think in this direction. As a young country, I look forward to welcoming some of the best young minds to come forth with the disruptive ideas and challenge the order, leading to a sustainable business model.
I love what you said, come with your disruptive ideas and challenge the order. And I think that's what we've done over and over again in Welspun as well. The last question that I have for you today, Dipali, is, what are we really looking at when we're looking at teams? Because Disruptor, after all, is a team competition. Groups of 2 to 4 people can be a part of it. So when we're going to select the winner, when we're going to say that, hey, this is the idea that we want to bank on, what are we looking for as part of this?
So we are seeking disruptors that are determined to drive results for the greater good. And Welspun is here to support the people whose mission is to build a future-proof world through collaboration and with innovative ideas. The Welspun Group is committed to conducting business in a sustainable way by not just investing in a sustainable operation and meeting ESG goals, but also supporting socially responsible innovation and startups. And I'm eager to see the innovations and disruptions you bring with your ESG-focused ideas, leading to sustainable and profitable business models.
Super, Dipali. Thank you so much for being with us today. And I think, this itself sets the commitment that Welspun Group has for this initiative and for the youth of India, and how much we believe in the youth and the ESG. Thank you so much for your time. It was wonderful having you here.
Thank you.
Anuj, over to you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for your learnings, your insights, or sharing your experience and your uplifting words, Ms. Dipali and Ms. Vidisha. It was a learning experience, of course, to listen to you today. Thank you for joining us. Learning the importance of ESG is a need for the business community and a crucial aspect of business planning for students like all of you. Now, it has become mandatory for boardroom discussions and to get the attention of investors. Prospective investors want to analyze a company's sustainable ESG execution plan before putting their money into it. So therefore, Welspun Group wants to put smart young minds into the spotlight who understand the significance of ESG and have plans to incorporate them into businesses, because the future we want to create needs to be built from the ground up today. If you are one such smart mind bubbling with ideas, the Welspun Group wants to invest in you. Don't think of this as a common win rupees 20,000 for your business idea competition. Let me clear something. We're not looking for run-of-the-mill ideas. We're looking for something groundbreaking, disruptive, an innovation that stands out, but with solid practicality of execution. But don't worry, we know businesses are not built in a day, and we have a plan for that too, which you will learn about later during this event this evening. As of now, we're only looking for mind-boggling ideas, a unicorn, a disruptor. Watch this film to know what disruptor is and what we're looking for.
At Welspun, we believe business can be a catalyst for change. Going forward, the focus of business will have to move from operational efficiency and financial metrics to other aspects of ESG under a common industry-wide framework.
All right, disruptors, I'm sure you're charged up. I'm sure you're ready, but I'm also sure you have a lot of questions in your head. So for those of you who have some queries that you'd like addressed, please feel free to drop them in the chat box if you are on the event microsite. If you're watching us live on YouTube, please feel free to ask questions in the comment box. We have our representatives, our team members ready at both sites to answer your questions. So go ahead, feel free and ask us what you will. Now, Disruptor Season 1 already has over 5,500 registered participants. Ask away, we will respond. Registrations are open till the 15th of August. So without much further ado, let me call upon the panelists now to give a detailed introduction to Disruptor Season 1. We have with us today key members of the leadership team at Welspun and your potential investor board. Mr. Kaustubh Sonalkar, Group Director, HCM, Communications, CSR and General Affairs, Welspun Group. Mr. Cherian Thomas, President and CEO, Advanced Textiles. And Mr. Altaf Jivani, Global CFO, Welspun Group. And I request Ms. Vidisha as well to join us on the panel. Thank you. Welcome, welcome. I've got a few questions to ask each of you. So I'll begin with Mr. Kaustubh. We hear this term innovation. It is, it's all around us. But how does today's new gen lead or activate innovation?
I guess hi everybody and welcome. I wish I could see you in person, but though virtually, welcome on board to this program. I'm sure it's going to be pathbreaking. We and I know Anuj, you asked me a question which I guess the answer is all within this team. You know, innovation comes naturally to us. It's as human beings we are born with innovation. We are born. You know, these students actually. I believe that the youth of today is so much glued on to doing something new always. Every day they innovate or they find a solution to anything. I think finding a solution, to in what the local language that we say jugaad is a day-to-day of the day-to-day thing which these young minds do. And I guess bringing that and combining it with something meaningful, I think that's what innovation is all about, right? So it is management books make sound innovation as something which is far more greater, but I think great minds, great entrepreneurs are made out of things but that is why they make look business very simple. So I guess humans are born with innovation as part of their DNA, and it's part of our DNA. And only people who actually come up with the right solution to a real problem are the ones who go on to become great entrepreneurs. And we have a lot of people to show, the great Mr. Ambani, Mr. Tata. They are visionaries, and they have actually found solutions to the problems which are real. And today's youth, just to give you a data, I think 19% of last year students who passed out of management and technical institutions took up entrepreneurship because they saw real value in what they wanted to do. They had a solution to a problem. So many digital organizations were born out of nowhere. You had women entrepreneurs, you young entrepreneurs who came out of across India who actually found solutions in digital, found solutions in supply chain, found solutions. We had dark kitchens we had never heard of, and that was all in midst of COVID. And I guess that's where we believe that innovation is there. And today, people, this generation is ready to pick up to do things differently. They're ready to take risks. So innovation combined with risk-taking ability and coming up with a solid idea is something which actually is a winning formula for success. And I guess that's what we are looking at here on this program, that we want somebody to come up with this winning formula, one formula which will actually change the world with ESG as a very strong platform. I think that's what Welspun has always been driving. We have taken a pole position on ESG within India, and maybe probably within the globe. We are not far away. So that's what we are looking at. We're looking at those kind of people, and I think innovation cannot be taught in a very scientific way. While there are a lot of schools which say that we create innovative leaders, you don't. You actually need to have innovation within you, and when you combine it with something meaningful, it becomes a fabulous idea. I think design thinking, jugaad, solutions orientation, combined with something great, some one peculiar idea, is what gets you that innovative ability. And I think that's what it's all about. It's nothing, no rocket science at all.
Thank you. Some wonderful points, wonderful takeaways for the students who have logged in right now. But there is, of course, ideating, creating, and then making a plan towards execution. But along with that, one of the biggest things in the toolkit needs to be ESG. So how do you see ESG fitting into business plans going ahead?
ESG has become an integral part of life today, actually, in corporate world. So till we always thought that ESG was all about only the entrepreneurs thinking about it, only the investors thinking about it. Today, the customer is asking questions around how am I impacting environment. The awareness around environment, social has gone beyond. And I'm happy to just interact with this youth because they are far more glued on to this. Today, the number of students who are working towards environmental activities, they get associated with NGOs. Their understanding and the kind of awareness and knowledge that is there within, which is taught and is, during my times, I didn't understand what ESG was all about. We were taught community living and so on, and that's how we grew into it. But what we really understood, the importance of nature, the importance of environment, the importance of social work, the importance of how to, energy savings, I think those are now quantifiable. Those are now moving into, today organizations are moving into building scorecards around ESG. Organizations, there are ESG scores. Governance has become very, very important in today's life. The government is asking questions. Digitization, everything has made everything transparent. I guess where are we moving towards is we are moving towards a far more cleaner, a far more transparent, and we are moving towards a far more inclusive and socially aware community. And that is what is bringing that community is something, and organizations are subset of all communities. And I guess that is where ESG becomes an extremely integral part of every business that you do. And and going forward, ESG is what will create value for organizations, and only organizations which will have a great ESG score will thrive in tomorrow's world.
Thank you. Thank you. So wonderfully explained. Thank you so much. And like someone said, be a part of the solution, not the pollution. So, but thank you, Mr. Kaustubh. Ms. Vidisha, I'd like to ask you, now we've got this fantastic competition that's been launched, Disruptor Season 1, over 5,500 registrations, people geared up, and it's extremely exciting. But when this competition was first conceived, what was the thought process behind launching it? Please take us through that.
Absolutely. So I think, Anuj, brilliant question. And I think, one must always understand why we are doing this. And I think through Dipali's speech and through the AV that you saw that, Welspun started from scratch. DNA of Welspun is entrepreneurship. And as we evolved and as we ventured more and more into different lines of businesses, what became evident, as beautifully put by Mr. Kaustubh Sanalkar, that ESG became a way of life. So here we was thinking that, there are two things that are in Welspun's DNA. One is the entrepreneurial spirit, and two is ESG. So how do we get the best of both worlds? And I think the answer definitely lay with the youth today. And I think, today, and Kaustubh, you're so right when you say that, and when probably we were growing up, or my generation was growing up, we were probably focused only on having a career. But I think as I speak to so many of young people in my team, my friends, their nephews, their kids, there's something that becomes very evident, that they want a career, they want to be an entrepreneur, they want to do well, but at the same time, equally passionately, they want to contribute, give back to society. They want to live in a better world. They want to, hoard less, consume probably meaningfully. So when we were sitting on the helm of this question that, if we want to solve this problem wherein we want to sponsor, we want to support something which has ESG in its DNA and an entrepreneurial spirit, that's when Disruptor, the thought of Disruptor, was born. And as the name suggests, and as beautifully put by Dipali, we are looking for disrupting ideas. We're looking for ideas that challenge the way we think, the ideas that will make this world a better place. So we're on this mission. We want to bring young talent, young people together. We want you to innovate, come up with ideas that disrupt, come up with ideas that are sustainable. They find ESG solutions, and as repeatedly said, will also turn into profitable businesses. And that's why this entire thought of Disruptor was also to keep it, very inclusive. We've said, hey, we will not only go to just MBA schools, we went down to undergrads, postgrads. Any student who's above the age of 18 can be a part of Disruptor. So what is Welspun looking at? Welspun is looking for young entrepreneurs. We're looking for people who can solve the business problems with ESG at the center. So that's the idea behind Disruptor. And we believe that this is the right platform. Like you said, we've had 5,500 students registering. We're really excited, and we're really waiting to see what kind of wonderful ideas, what kind of beautiful partnerships emerge from this. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. And with this entire movement, I mean, there's been a paradigm shift in thought with emerging generations towards entrepreneurship and, to become problem solvers. How do you see this entrepreneurial spirit develop talent?
Absolutely. So, again, when in our era, and I'd like to say era because I'm sure everybody is, today on this platform is young and raring to go. In back in the days, entrepreneur, the word, it actually resonated as somebody who is going to start a business, somebody who has something to start and something to set up. But I think today the word entrepreneurial spirit, I think for me, it's a mindset, it's an attitude, it's an approach, and it's an approach to think actively seeking out risk, seeking out change, challenging the status quo. It's an attitude of change, and rather than waiting to adapt to change, it's saying that, hey, I'm going to bring the change across. So I think a mindset that embraces critical questioning, risk taking, innovation, and at the same time, service, giving back, continuous improvement at the center of it. This is really what we see and understand of entrepreneurial spirit. And I think if you have this spirit, it is, whether whether you have an idea under environment, under social or governance, I think when you think with this mindset, you will do good not only to the business that you're going to set up or the idea that you're going to set up, but to the world at large. So I think there is such a beautiful correlation between the entrepreneurial mindset and talent.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for encouraging all of this talent, because I think it's heartening to see an entire generation that says, hey, if opportunity doesn't knock, I will build the door. So, but thank you so much for doing this. I'd like to ask Mr. Altaf Jivani that, we've spoken about ESG and, there's so much discussion that happens around it, but is it just a buzzword or is it here to stay in the long run? And what's the link between ESG and business profitability?
Yeah, that's a great question. Good evening, everybody. I'm always nostalgic when interacting with students, and there are so many of them here. So great. So see, what has happened with ESG, actually, today everybody's talking about it. So when everybody starts talking, it becomes a buzzword. But let me tell you, this journey actually started almost 3 to 4 years ago. Initially, the investors who started talking about ESG, then it was the customers who started talking about ESG. Later on, it was the regulators who have started talking about ESG. And today, media has started talking about ESG. We have all seen the way media was flashing the report of the climate change which has happened. So what today, and now even the consumers, the young generation, the consumers, in fact, they want to know how much water has got consumed for making this product. What is a carbon footprint which has actually got, to make this product. So their buying pattern actually has changed now. They are looking at discerning consumers, young generation are looking at this kind of parameters before they take that decision to buy. There are young generations who are actually asking the sustainability score of the company. They are looking at the purpose of the company. They want to know how what good this company is doing for the society before they join the employment. So there are the yardstick for measuring the performance of the company, yardstick for measuring the the success of the company has actually undergone a metamorphosis, and that is why we feel that all of them are talking about this ESG, and it has become buzzword. But this is actually not a buzzword. This is the change in the organization's DNA which is happening. And what has happened in the last 1.5 years, that this speed actually has got accelerated. So while this journey started some time back, it got accelerated in the last 1.5 years. Coming to your second question, Anuj, it is how do you link it to the profitability? Let me pick up one example which we have actually in Welspun India we have implemented. So as I told you, Welspun India DNA for ESG has been always there. So textile actually is one of the a water guzzler. So textile mills requires huge amount of water. Now we were dependent on Narmada river water in one of the plants in Anjar. Today we have actually, we have started using we invested about 150 crores in the sewage treatment plant. Now imagine a capital allocation decision which has to happen where you are investing money, which is not going to yield into any revenue, but it is creating a sewage treatment plant, because all these municipal corporations around the plant were actually discharging the sewage water into the sea without treatment. We have started buying that water Nowhere in the world actually municipal corporation gets paid for sewage water. We actually pay them. And this sewage water is then treated in the STP, and then it is used in our textile mill. After that, it goes to the effluent treatment plant where it gets treated, and then it is discharged in the sea. So imagine the kind of the sustainable solution which we have created, where municipal corporations are actually getting revenue. This water which was getting discharged is now getting treated before getting discharged. Our own dependence on the Narmada river water has become zero. Now the water actually is available for farmers and for domestic consumption. Now, honestly, when we invested, the cost for this treatment was higher than the Narmada water river. But today, over the years, it has actually become lower than the Narmada river water. So what appeared to be as a sustainable solution today is also making commercial sense. And when the global retailers come and see this kind of initiatives, they really love it. While we don't get any premium for this, but everything being equal, we are the one who will get preference compared to any other vendors. So we are able to create that differentiation in the customer's mind that this is a company where ESG has become DNA of the organization. So it is no longer just a boardroom discussion, but it is right in the servicing the customer. And that is where, if you see the plant utilization in our company is one of the highest in the entire industry. So that is where you start creating value for the stakeholders. So the whole paradigm has shifted. Earlier, it was more of enhancing the shareholder value. Now it is more of all the stakeholders. So it is not just the investors, but looking at the lenders, the employees, the society. So that is all have become the center stage for the organization, particularly for companies like us, Welspun. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't think the students could expect any better support than an organization that has so responsibly managed its carbon footprint, because for all the innovators and disruptors out there, these are the shoes you want to walk in. So thank you so much for doing what you do. Mr. Cherian Thomas, I'd like to ask you, you have tremendous experience. You're an industry veteran. What are some of the pitfalls that entrepreneurs should avoid?
First, good evening to all the youngsters who are listening, youngsters next gen. And Anuj, thank you. And good evening to all the panelists. It's a little preposterous for me, who himself is not an entrepreneur, to talk about what an entrepreneur should not be doing, what are the pitfalls he should be. But I'll take the liberty, since you asked me to, because I've had the fortune of working with some very smart entrepreneurs. And see, what I've seen is, an entrepreneur is not someone who is just on a lark wanting to do something and wanting to be, let's say, quote unquote, self-employed. At the heart of his being, I've seen that there is the idea that is there. He's very well connected to how that idea can be converted into, let's say, a product or a service that is eventually going to solve the problem. He is always, 9 out of 10 whom I know are so passionate about the how part, how the conversion happens. That binds him, that always gives him the edge. He's always thinking ahead. He knows exactly how the machinations are. He knows exactly how the conversion happens on the value stream. What is the tech part of it? How the enabling happens. So if you ask me, the one who has the eye on that entrepreneur, if you see and if you look around, is the one who is always successful, is always thinking ahead, and who's always changing, because he doesn't want to, that you'll never find him not knowing that core. So if you ask me, that is one thing, if you ask me, a successful entrepreneur always does. I wouldn't say what are the pitfalls. The pitfall would be the exact opposite of what I said. And I have not seen a successful entrepreneur, missing that ever.
With your experience, as of course president and CEO of Advanced Textiles, ESG is a huge term in your everyday life at work and thought. How important is it in your business?
No, so extremely. So more than the fact that it resonates with the value of the organization and the purpose with which we work, we recognize that our products are by and large are disposables, in the sense you make products out of it which eventually a consumer can use for convenience. And 9 out of 10 times it is convenience, which also lends its help towards hygiene and health. But nevertheless, it's a disposable. So from an earlier thought process where you take, make, dispose, you think linearly. Now we need to think in a circular manner of how we can reduce, because how we can reduce, how we can reuse, recycle, upcycle, because there are so many avenues where products that we make, there are higher value sitting somewhere. It's just a question of keeping your eye out. So no longer does the end justify the means. We need to think through. So if a disposable solution sits on a platform which is friendly to the planet, friendly to the person, and in general, the manner in which you do a business is visible. So as Altaf mentioned, if let's say we run on a premise where my PCF or my product carbon footprint is there out in the open, if you're able to enable and work in that manner, there's nothing that is taken away from the business than making you extremely endearing to the end consumer.
Thank you. I'm sure there are, the students who are watching, their head is brimming with ideas. They're already, trying to implement all of these learnings into what their thoughts are at the moment. But here's the most common question amongst aspiring entrepreneurs is, how do you transform an idea into a business proposal? I'd like to open this question to the panel, anyone who'd like to take it on. It is, of course, one of the starting questions that comes into any aspiring entrepreneur's mind. So how do you transform an idea into a business proposal? Anyone who'd like to take this?
So with your permission, Altaf, let me just, and Kaustav and Vidisha, let me just, since my mic is open. So see, as I said, it's important that once we have, the classical way in which you can see at the center of your heart and your being and your thinking is, who is it going to benefit, or what is the larger good? Is it a problem, or am I going to alleviate a problem, or am I going to make that situation better, happier, and so on? And then, having identified that, as I said, the solution, the way in which we are going to convert, as I said, it's not just by doing it. The ends do not justify the means in today's world. It's not just solve it. You've got to do it in a way, as we said, because the underlying platform is, you can't do it at the cost of exploitation of, let's say, people or planet, or by not keeping it transparent. So our ability now is to be able to have that enabling technology, enabling concept, enabling idea, enabling part to the idea, which can be done in a way that is good to these three aspects, people, planet, and having done that, obviously you don't leave it there. So the classical way in which, you need to, the consumer, the target audience, the consumer, and you don't just talk about it. The best thing will be, the proof of concept. There has to be a form. There has to be a form to it, because in this fast-paced world, maybe earlier, like Vidisha said, in the earlier era, maybe people had the time. But now I think you have to manifest that into some form. It can change, and that catches the attention of someone who is wanting to enable you to reach the dream. So in my opinion, these are the broad 4 or 5 steps.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to add on to these points, add their perspective to this?
So just to build on what Cherian mentioned about the solution, what is the problem which this idea is solving actually? So that's one S. I just want to add 3 more S in that. The other S is the scale. This solution which I'm going to implement, at what is it scalable? At what scale it can reach, so that's the other S one would like to see. The other S is about simplicity. is the solution which I'm proposing, is it simple enough for everybody to understand, or is it intuitive enough for everybody to implement, or or will I require a lot of push to solve that, implement that? And the third S is about the synergy. Is that what is a synergy which I am actually utilizing within the organization? So I have a solution and the organization has a lot of resources available. Am I able to synergize those resources, and this solution will have its own legs which will scale up? And the problem is so simple that it will create a pull factor within the potential customers. So this is what I would like to add. Over to you, Anuj.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you so much, panelists. We'll, of course, have you back in some time to field questions, but I'm sure the students in the audience have a lot to think about, a lot of food for thought. Now, while we do have ESG as a crucial topic of discussion today, here's a small video that highlights the importance of ESG and the role Welspun Group aspires to play with Disruptor. Let's have a look. All right. So I know all of you are waiting for what's the rounds, what's the rules and regulations, and most importantly, what do we have in store for the best ideas we get? Now, before I get into that, I'd also like to remind you, those of you who've logged in directly into the event microsite, you can leave us questions in the chat box. Or if you're watching this live on YouTube, you can write out your question in the comment box, and our teams at both sites will address them and address your queries. So it's time now to take you through the rules and the regulations and the rounds and all of those details. Let me ask for the slide and I will take you through those. Okay, here we go. Now, first thing is the eligibility. The competition is open to all undergraduate and postgraduate students above the age of 18 across the country. Working professionals are not eligible for Disruptor. Participation can only be in a team of 2 to 4 members. And students from exchange programs can, of course, also participate. However, at most, 1 student per team can be on the exchange program, and at least 2 students should be present during each level of the competition. Next up, we've got the general guidelines. Students can be from any specialization, and cross-specialization teams can participate. Team members should be from the same college. An individual cannot be a part of more than 1 team. Keep your feet in one boat. Participants are supposed to create and submit original and self-thought business plans, not duplicating any existing business ideas. Proposals received will be strictly verified. Any deviation from the aforementioned guidelines will result in the immediate disqualification of the entire team. The decisions of the evaluators and investors will be final and binding on all participants. Welspun, of course, retains the right to use and publish all submissions, including the contents of pitch documents. The decision of qualifications in each round, the final winners, and the judgment on all entries lies with the Welspun Group alone. Okay, so here we are now with the competition structure. The first one is the idea submission round. So only registered teams can access the problem statements post 16th of August 2021. Like we said, your last day to register is the 15th of August 2021. So after 16th of August, you can access the problem statements. Only one solution per team is allowed. Solutions once submitted cannot be changed. If you face any issue while uploading the submission, try uploading it in incognito mode. Teams need to upload the submission latest by 26th of August 2021, 11:59 p.m. on the competition page itself. Here are your submission guidelines. Teams will be given a framework for their business ideas. Teams will have to submit their ideas in the form of a templatized executive summary. The executive summary must be in the templatized form of a one-page document or a 2-slide PPT or a 2-minute video not exceeding 15 MB. That's 15 MB. For video submissions, you can compress your videos through this link. There's a link that's been given. It's www.ps2pdf. That's ps2pdf.com/compress-mp4. I'll repeat that. ps2pdf.com/compress-mp4. Submissions will be evaluated on problem identification and relevance, innovativeness, creativity, the feasibility of implementation, and the impact in terms of cost, time impact, impact on beneficiaries, etc. Details of the executive summary must include these: the theme. Mention of the problem statement comes under environment, social, or governance issues. That's ESG. The problem statement itself. Analysis or a proposed solution to the problem statement, which is your big idea. Execution, in brief, your strategic plan or structure to reach organizational goals. And your naming convention has to be your college name _ team name _ theme. I'll repeat that: college name _ team name _ theme. Okay. We are going to have master classes. Exciting. There's a lot to learn from the best in the business. So from the executive summaries received, the top 100 ideas will be shortlisted and will be eligible for exclusive master classes with Welspun leaders. Participating teams will be trained to submit a detailed business plan with an execution model, prototype, and a P&L statement. Trust me, this learning is once in a lifetime. You don't want to miss it. So do your best to get into that top 100 ideas which will be shortlisted. Now, to prepare you for the grand finale, a 90-minute masterclasses will be scheduled covering the following: what qualifies as a business idea and how can it be built? What is ESG? Why and how to incorporate it into a business plan? Why is prototype important and how to create it? And how to create a P&L statement. The third round is a video submission round. So now once you're done with the masterclasses, teams will submit a 10-minute video on the ideas submitted in round 1, justifying the solution along with an execution model, prototype, and P&L statement. Teams can get creative with the video, use animation, use props, use backdrops, and more. And there's a lot more that you can use to make the presentation compelling. Most importantly, use your imagination. The presentation should address the issue and its proposed solution, the focus of the opportunity of the solution, the rationale behind proposing such a solution, and how the solution will address the given problem statement. And finally, the grand finale. Final teams will present their 10-minute presentation ideas to the Welspun investors virtually, followed by a 5-minute Q&A round. Based on the team's presentation delivery, investors will identify the top teams as winners. And the criteria of evaluation include your problem identification and relevance, innovation and creativity in building the solution, research and feasibility of implementation, scenario planning and prototype, business and long-term impact, and presentation. Here are the prizes and the rewards. Ooh. Seed funding of rupees 10 lakh or above to selective teams. That's a big prize to have. Welspun Group merchandise and certificates of participation. Teams can find these guidelines in the framework, which will of course be shared soon. All details are also mentioned on the competition site on Dare to Complete. Now, in case you have any questions, like I said, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box. If you are on the event microsite, if you're watching us live on YouTube, feel free to ask your questions in the comment box, and our teams at both sites will address them immediately. Okay, now we've got a few questions already, and I'd like to invite the Welspun representatives, the panel, to please come back in and field those questions. So I've been getting a few questions. I'll ask them, and any of you could take them as you feel fit. Okay, so Ms. Vidisha, first question. This is from Muskan Garg from IIFT. How has the way ESG is implemented in business changed with the pandemic?
I think, before the pandemic, there was one thing that was not very obvious, which was that, directly how the health and health of employees, health of a community, the environment that you're doing businesses, it's directly linked to the business outcomes and business productivity. So I think in the last 2 years, if there's something that we've taken back, is a realization that such a strong link exists between business outcomes, which is directly linked to your employees' well-being, their health, your communities, your surrounding, and your environment. So I think this realization, which was not there earlier, is much more evident now. Thank you.
Mr. Altaf, we have a question from Shreya Bansal, who's doing her MBA in Delhi or has done her MBA. She says, do we need regulatory frameworks to effectively drive ESG adoption in India, or can it be done through private partnership and initiative?
That's a great question. Actually, see, those organizations which are into ESG journey really don't need regulator to push that, nudge them. So as I told you, in Welspun India, it has been part of our DNA, and last 6-7 years we have been working on this. The benefit of regulator is that they can bring a common yardstick, because ESG may mean different things to different companies. So therefore, you need a regulation so that there's a minimum disclosure which each company can provide, and there's a yardstick which will measure so that everybody can be evaluated on a common platform. So today, the way we have ratings, credit ratings on financial parameters, there are companies who are actually getting ratings on the sustainable parameters also. And I'm happy to share that Welspun India's rating is in fact one of the highest, even compared to the global retailers. So that's the kind of benefit which you get when you have a regulator. But it is definitely larger organizations can play a very significant role by covering their entire ecosystem. So it's not only you, the company which is implementing, but to insist that your vendors also have a similar mandate on ESG. So that's the big advantage which the companies can have, the influence it can have on the entire ecosystem.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think we're a little short on time, so we're unfortunately going to have to close this, but please, we've noted all your questions. We will of course answer them as this competition goes forward. But what an exciting evening this has been. Students, I know the change makers amongst you are as excited as I am today, and Disruptor is now open for registrations on the D2C platform. Visit the microsite, register, and we look forward to hearing your innovative ideas. Just remember, you are the future of tomorrow, and we at Welspun believe in your potential. If you have a great idea, we will back you up, not own, back you up. Becoming an entrepreneur may start with an idea, but we can help you make it an innovation that leads us to a better future today and tomorrow. My thank you to the leadership team at Welspun for making time to inspire our potential disruptors today. I'm sure they have a lot of takeaways with them right now after this is done, and they're looking forward to the journey ahead. This is me, Anuj Gurwara, signing off for the evening. It's been a pleasure to host you all this evening. I've started missing my student days actually, but all the best to all of you. Have a great evening. Good night, everyone.
Good night.